Okay. All right. We're live. All right. Hello. Hello. Welcome to the Lady Empress Show. It's such a beautiful, beautiful day in December. I'm so glad that you guys were able to check in, to chime in. I am sitting with a very powerful superstar. Her name is Heather Kropf, and we're up here in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and we're going to be discussing her musical career. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us. The Lady Empress Show we're really about just sitting down and chatting and getting to know the gifts and the talents that other people have. And we want to share that and promote and build up others. And I'm so excited to be able to have this opportunity to sit here with her and learn more about her. I'm going to have more information in the description box where you can go to her website and you can listen to her music and enjoy the gift that she has been given from above. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Heather Kropf. Thank you so much, Heather, for
You're
joining
very
us.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. And without further ado, I'd like to ask you just to tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. I grew up on the West Coast. My parents were missionaries in Kingston, Jamaica for 2 years. So I lived in Jamaica when I was very young. And then we moved to northern Indiana when I was in middle school. I'd already been taking piano lessons at that point. My mom wanted to go to seminary. So I was in northern Indiana for all the time up until I moved to Pittsburgh as a young adult and got an internship at a radio station here. And I was actually working at a radio station in Indiana or volunteering. And then decided I wanted to do my own stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's how I got here, and just, was always a music lover. And I think that's probably mostly what I am, but like writing songs, I've been doing that since I was probably 10.
Oh, wow.
It was just sort of the thing to do after I practiced my piano lessons. It's like mess around and write things. And then started recording albums and playing shows.
Okay.
So,
There's a certain instrument that they play in Jamaica, and I don't know the name of it off the top, but it looks like a round, I want to say it's like a gold thing, and you hit it and it go bum, 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 bum.
Oh.
Do you?
Is it the metal?
It's like a metal
with the mallets.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't recall the name right now, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how to play?
I don't know how to play that. That would be fun though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were that you grew up that you lived there even for a time.
Yeah, we were there for my mom was a high school English teacher, and my dad worked in a nonprofit, and I was just a little toddler,
Okay.
running around barefoot.
Okay. I want to visit Jamaica one day.
I would love to go back. I keep thinking that would be a fun thing to see it again. I've never been back.
So I wanted to check out Dunn River Falls. I believe it's in.
Yeah.
Is it Negril or Ocho Rios?
I don't know I know all the names because it all feels very dreamlike. But
Right.
yeah, I remember seeing pictures of people there. So.
Okay. Yeah, one day.
I should get there.
So on a grand scheme of things, how long would you say you've been singing?
Well, so all my life,
Okay.
my family, our sort of ethnic tradition is Swiss German Mennonite. And so a cappella singing was just like 4-part singing was just part of our culture. So I've sort of grown up standing little person, standing next to people singing all the parts.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard all the parts of music just growing up. And I've been singing publicly since I was probably 19, something like that. So I was kind of late, and I didn't have a lot of people who get into music have musical parents or some other kind of like community thing pushing them into doing more public kinds of stuff. Whereas I had a family that loves music, but there was no concept that could be something that you do.
Okay.
So I came to it sort of late. And I didn't make my first record until I was in my late 20s.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What was the name of your first record?
It was called Sky.
Sky.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the album, can it be purchased in stores or everything's online? For the most part?
I think at this point that one's mostly just digital. I think I may have, that was the only one I think I may have sold out of.
Okay.
I think I have a few stray copies at home, but yeah, it's digital.
Okay. Okay. So, you say that I used to, when I would go to church and I would see them singing, I love to hear them singing. I sing, in my shower at home or whatever the case may be. But the church that now my covering ministry, Joy Inspirational Life, I remember when I went there and she said, you could sing,
Nice.
And I'm like, please don't make me get up there, please. She's like, get up here and sing, So when service, and then the next time I went to service, I'm sitting down, I'm in the back because I didn't want to sing. She said, what are you doing here? Get up here and sing, So that was, it's not something that I thought of pursuing at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just do like normal people would do in the car, at home, in the shower, whatever, that's it. But to be able to pursue it, I didn't feel like it was something, necessarily that I could, pursue. But, that it's a gift, that, how can I say, it's for who it's for, the way I see it. You just know that thing that you do, and I just didn't want to go further with anything like that. I was interested in rapping, being a rapper.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, that I was in.
Did you do any?
But I did record something. It was not like in a studio per se, but I kind of sampled the beat over YouTube. And I recorded it, and I would plug it up to my car, and I would listen to it that way.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, this is the way I can hear myself on the radio. But I was discouraged, as to go forward with it. So I didn't pursue it for a career. But if I had to choose between the two, I would probably do rapping more so than singing.
Well, Pittsburgh, I don't know a whole lot about that genre, but I know Pittsburgh has, you probably weren't in Pittsburgh, but has a really strong community for that, and just like so much talent. So, you never know. You could have a second career.
That'd be something if they have like a rap contest or something like that. Get up here and just do, a couple of lines or whatever. You never know.
Yeah.
I have more courage now. Like I'm more so like I will probably push myself to do something like that more so now than I did before. Okay. So how would you describe your style of music?
I think of it as alternative, just because it doesn't, I'm sort of, because I go into different genres a little bit, but everything always sort of ends up sounding a little bit like folky. I have a folk voice. I have a very I'm not a belter. I'm not a big singer. I'm not an ornate singer, so I sing pretty straight. But yeah, so if you back in the 90s, it would have been called alternative. Singer-songwriter, indie folk is maybe what it would be now, or indie pop. Some people would probably say it's jazz, just because I feel like any more genres are so fluid and everybody's borrowing from everybody. Right. So it kind of, you might have an instrument from somewhere that makes it sound more jazz, and you might have, singers over here that make it sound like it's pop. It's just, I don't know. I just try to think of it as, I'm mostly in my head, I'm just pursuing the song, trying to figure out the song.
Okay.
And go where it goes. And I have my own limitations as a musician, so it tends to kind of stay in, a little space like this.
Okay. It's basically, I guess we would call it your lane.
It's my lane. Yeah. Yeah.
It's your lane.
It's partly what I would do if I choose it, and it's partly actually limitations of not being able to, when I think of musicians, I think of people who are fully dedicated to the craft, so that they can play anything. And that's not what I do. Like, I've learned enough to write it's a utility. Has a function for me, as opposed to the music is the function, and like learning all the ins and outs of technique and harmonics and like all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't have a fire for that. Like, I want to make a song, so I learn enough. I learn enough to bring in to sort of give me something to work with for a little bit
Okay.
until I feel like I'm kind of exhausted figuring out what that does in my songs. And then I look around for something else and kind of bring it in. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You when I read, I went to the website and I was listening to how you felt the need to allow, I want to say, if I can sum it up and culminate it,
Yeah.
a freestyle, meaning you were working one way, but then you chose to allow the music to
Mhm.
kind of let you. How did that feel? Did you feel like that was?
It's
Were you more nervous with that than the other way?
no, because the music is, I mean, it's something you can count on. Like, you can rely on it to, it's a conversation, right? So, early on, I had a lot more to say than what I do now. That's probably just being younger and getting older. I don't know. But my first album, in some ways, like, I'm really proud of it. It's maybe my best record in some ways. But I feel like there's like the lyrics that kind of sit on top of this bed of music. And I've just been constantly like trying to figure out how do I get those words and the melodies to sit inside the sound a little bit more, so that people can have a more holistic experience. Like, I don't want people to come and hear me or hear my songs and think. You know what I mean? And I want them to think if that's what they want to do, but I want them to actually feel something.
Okay.
And so that's been, sometimes I'm more successful than other times,
Okay.
and the things that make me feel something don't necessarily make other people feel something. And so it's, might be for 3 people instead of 3,000 people,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that just comes with just how I want to say stepping out there on faith and just seeing what happens.
Yeah.
And just kind of going with what.
Yes.
And
it's helpful. I mean, for me, it's been helpful, just getting older in the process of like that's kind of life in all relationships. Like, you have to listen at least as much or more than what you're contributing, because just by being present, you're contributing. You know what I mean? So, like, if you start a song, that turns into like a little 3.5-minute exercise in some ways. It's like, okay, now, what do you want to do now? And just kind of play with that.
Okay. Now, from a spiritual standpoint, what do you say your music does for you?
It, from a spiritual sense, great question. I think it, mostly music for me is a way for me to interrupt my life enough to have a time spent with uncomfortable feelings or difficult scenarios in my life, and kind of just sit with them and be present to them. It also lets me, like, there's mystery in making a song. Some people approach it very craft like here's a verse, here's a chorus, don't forget the bridge, like, what's the tempo, blah blah blah, and they sort of piece together this thing, and that's a great way of writing songs. But there's another way of writing songs where you wake up in the morning, like, with just the song is in your head, all laid out, and that to me feels like something higher, where you're just at channel. And that doesn't happen all the time, but the more you like pay attention to that part, the more it's there. You gotta open the door. And I think of that in the same way as like spirituality. You have to like open the door. It's gonna be always going, hey, hey. But it's up to you to like be open to it.
Right. To be able to tap in.
Yeah.
Make yourself available to it. I remember one day I woke up and it was a song in my head.
Yeah.
And I really felt like I tapped into heaven. This is, and I kept hearing it. And I said, well, let me write it down. And I still remember the song.
That's great.
But I felt like I was just, some people say channeling it or whatever, but I felt like I just really tapped in, and I was, and sometimes you don't know necessarily what to do with that.
Right.
I guess at first, but I guess whatever we receive, we're supposed to bring it and share it, to give it out. So would that be the experience
That
that
would
you're
be,
talking about?
yeah. And often what I've found is that songs that you make that kind of happen like that, if you go back and listen to them, they can actually teach you or help you. It's not you giving something. It's like it's kind of there for you as a comfort or an expression of joy or something that's there for you also. And even 10 years from now, you can go back and go, oh, wow, that's, yeah, there's something, I don't know how to really, there's a mystery to it. There's something bigger about it, which makes me nervous about writing songs sometimes because it's just like, oh, what am I doing?
There's a message in there for you. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I remember having that, experience. And then again, I'm not a singer, so I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? Is this for someone, or is this what am I supposed to do with this? But I still have it, in my head. So I don't know. I know there's some people, they songwrite for others. They don't sing, but they're like, okay, this I heard this, but this may be for you to sing, maybe for me to write. Maybe part of a divine connection.
Yeah.
I still don't know. But I'm glad at least that I remember it. It's not like, oh, what was that song? I can't remember what it is.
Right.
But I still have it.
Right.
And now you already told me you're not originally from Pittsburgh, so I don't have to ask you that
not.
question. I have described your music. When I heard your music, I said, this sounds like soft soul.
Which I love. That's great. I'm going to use that.
It felt like soft soul.
Yeah.
And because I got the softness. Like you said, you're not a belter. I didn't hear any of, not even the possibility of that. Like it just would take you out of who you truly are.
Yeah.
But I felt the soul in it. Now, the others that have heard your music, how do they describe? What did feedback that you receive from other listeners?
It's all over the place, which says to me that people will relate you to who they know. So someone might say, you sound like Stevie Nicks. Someone else might be like, you sound like Ani DeFranco. And someone else might be like, oh, you sound like Sade. It just depends on who they listen to and who they know. Most people don't tell me I sound like a genre. They'll just say, you remind me of so-and-so. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just heard it sounds like soft soul. That was about 2 or 3 songs in it. And I'm listening, I'm like, Heather. It sounds like soft soul. It was so nice.
That's nice.
Okay. So for the most part, they connect you with someone. They don't leave you in your own, or you're not really left in your own cycle.
And it's not like everybody says the same person, right? So it's definitely, I don't know if they're just hearing it like one song out of the 10 songs, and that one happens to sound more like so-and-so than if you listen to this other song, which has a whole different vibe. Because I am kind of like a little broad in terms of that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. Have you collaborated with other superstars in your music throughout your journey?
Superstars.
Other superstars.
I have been very fortunate so I've participated in the songwriting community in Pittsburgh for a long time, and I got a really nice sort of leg up into that, just being a complete amateur, like a total amateur. And there were a couple of people that had already been doing it a while that would always have me like show up in the 90s and early 2000s. Bookstores and coffee shops were still doing stuff. There were songwriter nights where you'd have songwriters in the round. And so, they often, let's pull in the girl with the keyboard, and for some variety because everybody else had guitars. So I got some nice lucky breaks that way. I feel like I've had the good fortune whenever I've made records to be just working with extraordinary people. And they're all people that would be sort of Pittsburgh names. A few have exited Pittsburgh and gone on to do sort of bigger, bolder things in other like more music cities, or like sort of more top tier music cities. I don't think Pittsburgh's a top tier, but it's certainly not bottom. Like there's a lot of good stuff here. But it's small, so the bench isn't super deep.
Okay.
in any one direction. But yeah, I mean, I could, yeah. Yes. I don't know what else to say that. So, like, famous people, like, I don't know, superstar, I don't know what superstar means to you, so.
No, you challenged me. Because when I say superstars, I'm thinking of the Stevie Nickses and the Sade's.
Yeah.
But you may see it, but here I am, I'm saying superstar, you. And you go, okay. You know, so you think how I'm thinking about you, about those that you've worked with.
Yeah, the people that so I consider myself a semi-pro or an amateur because I don't do it full time. It's really hard to do working singer-songwriter stuff full time, especially when the stuff that you do, like what I do, is so mellow, right? Like I'm not pumping up the energy anywhere I go unless I play with my band, but that's very expensive. So the players that I play with are kind of where I look for the expertise, and those are usually people that are just, they're players. They're not like, they're all leaders in their area, but they're not like front and center people necessarily.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Pittsburgh is a very rich city of what I've seen for the short time that I've been here.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on. And it's like balloons and confetti. That's the way I see it. It's stuff going on. Whoa, you know. And I'm from New Jersey, and then I was down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area where things were different type of pace. You get little spots here, spots there. But people are very up here active. They're about it. They're doing. They're very much going and flowing.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody seems to be in their element. They seem to be in their lane for the most part. Very confident, but focused on what it is that they're doing, contributing to others.
Yeah.
You know, so I could see why everybody is a superstar in their own right, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. There's not, I feel like a lot of people in Pittsburgh believe they need to go elsewhere if they want to reach the superstar level.
Really?
Yeah.
Like it feels like they're all here.
Yeah, but there's no, like, the media and the, you know, like the other part of that equation, which is, yeah, it would have to be through, I don't know. I have opinions about, I you know, honestly don't know where things are right now with Pittsburgh because I haven't been playing for like a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I think there's some missing pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a project called Fair Play Pittsburgh for 5 years with Christiana Leach and then Lauren DeBichet with the Greater Pittsburgh Arts Council. And we were going from community to community trying to figure out what's working and what's not working about the music system in the area. And we identified like a lot of gaps in what's here. Now, people may have taken that information and like filled in those gaps in that amount of time, which would be really exciting, actually.
That's pretty cool. It's like a survey, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
To see what's working, what's not, what's needed.
Yeah.
You know, to make it a better place together. Okay. On your website, you talk about the 9 lessons of songwriting.
Yes, that was last year. Yeah.
And possibly life. Can you give us like an overview of them or as many as you feel comfortable sharing?
Sure. Yeah. So so a little backstory. Every year I participate in an online community called February Album Writing Month. And it's a worldwide community. We all challenge ourselves to write 1 song every 2 days to have 14 songs by the end of the month. And then you post the songs and you get feedback from the community. So it's just this wild, mad frenzy of people doing anything and everything and blasting it out. And Pittsburgh is very gloomy. If you've not been here in February, Pittsburgh's extremely gloomy in February. So it's a great thing to do to kind of like look forward to every year. So last year, I had less equipment with me because I had a lot of things in storage. And you mentioned earlier about letting the music kind of lead the process. So that was one thing that I learned. which I guess if you're not really a songwriter, that may not relate, except if you relate it to like how you are in relationships or how you are with when you think about like your career or where you're going to live or, you know, how you're going to get involved in your community. Other ones were use what you have, and try to find a way to make it fresh and new for you without getting so self-absorbed that you aren't also mindful of the bigger picture. So I like singing and I play piano. So it's very limited for me. So how, you know, for me, it was like trying to figure out how to make that feel like more without getting too sort of heavy-handed with any of that. Still like remembering, oh, there's a song I'm trying to communicate. What was another one? I think there was another one was songwriting is something about future, like spell casting or something. Like, yeah, like the things you say change your environment. And when you sing words over and over again, and you're asking people to listen to that over and over again, like make sure that gets right with you, so that you're not creating an energy and environment that's not in service to what it is that you're about. And the same for the people that you not subject them to, but like they're gonna, if they like the song, it's gonna be part of their life, right? So just be really mindful when you create something and you speak words that are in alignment with, you know, what you want to create in the world.
Okay.
That was one of them.
Basically speak what you want.
Well, yeah, but it's just like, for a while I was writing songs that were like therapy for me, and, you know, they were sad, bad relationships, poverty, or whatever it is, you know, that was like really tough. And that was a therapeutic way for me to like, you know, sort of go, man, this sucks. But do I want to sing that every day over and over? Do I want to have people listen to that every day over and over? It's like
that season's going to change.
Yeah, like wouldn't it be nice to sing songs that make people feel safe, that make people feel like more loving, or that make people feel more at peace with the world and themselves? Or, you know, wouldn't that be also nice, right? And so I'm trying to become more discerning about like what energy and what words am I saying without like repressing actual feelings, right? Like you can write an angry song, you can write a bitter song, like there's a place for that. There's murder ballads in the world, you know, and you know, there's a place for everything. but murder ballads are sort of cathartic, right? Like they make you feel good. They don't make people go out and murder people. You know what I mean? So
we're going back to rap music now.
yeah, exactly.
That's why I said there's a lot of, you know, I used to hear a lot of it, but like you said, it didn't make me want to go out and act.
No, it's an expression.
But it was a way of venting frustration or getting out what you thought, because this person or these people were bold enough or in a position to express something that I felt or I was in agreement with at that time. But I don't necessarily still feel that way today. But that's how I felt then.
And think about the person who's making that. Right. They're going to have to do their greatest hits, and they're going to have to go back to 20 years ago to the person they used to be and somehow try to make that still communicate authentically. And I mean, that's sort of like, I look at some of my older songs and I'm just like, I'm not that person anymore. Yeah. You know, like I can't do that song anymore. It had a place. So, I mean, everything has a place, but I'm just, as I get older, I'm just sort of like,
And you're not the only artist to say that. There's been recording artists that have said that, you know, I thought, oh man, I was here at that time, and man, I don't want to have to sing that song no more. You
Right.
know,
Well,
but people are like, sing this song,
Right.
sing this song, and they're like, I'm just okay, I'm not there no more. So they have to force themselves to go back to a place that they're no
Yeah.
longer there, and that can't be comfortable.
Yeah, there's a do you know Michelle Negiacello?
I do.
Yeah.
Know her.
Love her. And
Outside Your Door is one of my favorite
yes,
songs.
Great song. I've seen her or the band, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times. Does not care what the audience wants.
Mm-mm.
At all.
She's free.
At all. You
She's
get what
very
the
free.
artist will give to you,
Mhm.
and it's so great every single time, right? It's not what I want, it's not what I expect, but it's like it's all solid. And I feel like that's one way to do it
Mhm.
that works. And then there's other people that are just super happy giving people what they want,
Right.
that gives them joy, and that's what they're here for.
Right.
So
Yeah, she's one to mention. One of the things you said about your 9 lessons, I want to share with you that touched me, that spoke
Sure.
to me. Establish your reason for doing something and be brutally honest that it lines up with your present actual reality.
Yeah.
And the way I took that was just don't be fake, be real with
Yeah.
where you are. This is your reason for doing it, and almost like don't care about what other people think. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I meant that. I also think I meant don't. It's going to like not being able to sing a song anymore because you grew as a person. Don't say you want to do something because you said you did when you were 21.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's okay to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to like let something go, even if if it's not really there for you anymore.
That helps.
And it comes back around. It could come back around, and then it's great.
Right.
And it might not, but something else does. So there's this like faith that you have to keep. It gets stale.
Mm-hmm.
I find I get sick when I don't stay in alignment. Like it, my energy is just like
you're not being true to yourself.
I'm not being true. Yeah. So I don't, and it's not very graceful. I mean, it's immediate. Like if I get stressed about something, I have a headache.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, and then I think there's like something wrong with me, but then I think back, I'm like, oh no, I just got stressed because there's a deadline for something. It's that kind of thing where, so yeah, for like songwriting, it's like, well, don't write ballads anymore if you don't want to write a ballad. Mm-hmm. Like you're not the ballad person.
Right.
You don't have to be anything. Like you can be what you are right now. So
right. Yeah. And that's liberating.
Yeah.
Because you're not restricting yourself.
Right.
Meaning you're opening up the door. Okay, this is where I was at that time. But I'm doing something else. And it's okay. I don't have to go, why don't I feel like doing this anymore?
Right.
Like it must be something wrong with me.
Right. Right.
Like there's nothing wrong with you.
Right. And you wouldn't get to the new thing if you hadn't already done the other thing. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's disconnected.
It's like stair steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I know you've written a lot of songs, but I was wondering if you would tell us your top 3 favorite. Oh,
my top 3 favorite songs. Okay. So they may not be recorded yet. Okay. Which is why I probably will end up making another record. There's a song called The Weekend, which is, okay. This is such a hard question.
And you could just tell us a little bit about
it.
I know we haven't heard it.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a song called The Weekend, which I struggle to write songs that have like a feeling of a lift to them. Mm-hmm. And that one does. It has a nice chorus. It just fits together. I don't have to oversing, and I can sing this. I can actually sing the song, and it still has the lift, like because I don't have to belt it, but it works. Which I will definitely record. It's probably one of my best songs, I would say. There is a song. I don't think the recording quite got it, but on my last record, Lights, called Dream of Dreams. Mm-hmm. And that was a song I was playing around town for a while before I found a producer in Nashville to like record the song. And other songwriters would come up to me and be like, I wish I wrote that song. So that one I was just like, okay, so that one worked, like that connected to people. And then there's a song that I wrote, it's like an art song called If You Rest Easy, which I wrote the first year of the pandemic during my February album writing month. Actually, that would have been 2021. And I just really, I don't know, it's not, it doesn't have like a lot of structure to it. The words kind of don't necessarily rhyme. They're just sort of ideas and thoughts that I had for this year that was very weird for everyone, but also especially for musicians. That I posted a demo of it to one of my social media pages, and people were just like, people loved that one. And I like to write songs that hopefully connect with people, but it's also nice when they're the ones that I like too. Because I always put like a song or something on. There's always a couple songs on every record that I personally think are my favorites that people don't talk about. I'm like, oh, well, that's my favorite song. Yeah.
I thought I would ask you what your 3 favorite was. I truly enjoy Big Love.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And I like, I'll leave the light on for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
I really like it.
Yeah, that was one, the guys that played, so I did a crowdfunding campaign for that record. I found a producer. So I had a producer lined up, and then when it came down to it, he changed his mind. So I was just like, oh no, now what am I going to do? And I cold called this guy who produced an album for Mindy Smith in Nashville, and I really loved that record. And I was just like, hey, I'm Heather. Like, really love this Mindy Smith record. Would you consider producing? And for some reason, he must have just had a gap. He like never works with people he doesn't know. Talked on the phone. I sent him stuff, and he was like, yeah, sure. And then he got on to the tour with Katie Lang and Nico Case and Laura Veers for that trio project. And everything was just like chaotic. And he's like, I got this window. It has to happen right now. I was like, oh no. So I scrambled to do this fundraising campaign and then went down to Nashville for it. That was in 2016. And he had picked out a bunch of songs, and that was one of them. Big Love was one of them. And he had this really interesting, like, I didn't select any of the players. It was the first time I was just there as the artist. It was a very strange experience, but also really cool. And they just kept making interesting things, So I'm glad you like it.
I do like Big Love.
It's very different than what I would have done, but I think it was nice. I mean, I think it was a nice treatment for that song.
The place you were playing, was it like a cathedral?
Oh, yeah, that's actually in Homestead.
Oh, okay.
That's right off 8th Avenue.
I thought I saw it. I'm like, that looks familiar. Can you see it from the highway?
Yeah, it's this cathedral. Okay. Like if you go, that there's like that Carnegie music venue thing. There's a church off to the left.
Okay.
It's this ad agency.
Familiar.
And also, So they were doing a local music series or live recording series, and they asked me if I wanted to come down.
Okay.
And we did that, one of the songs for that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That was fun. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's very beautiful. Okay, so now where will you be playing again? Do you know when you'll be playing? Where can people find you if they want to come?
So right now it's just recorded stuff online.
Okay.
I don't have anything lined up. I've had some health stuff, which has affected my throat and my voice. And so I worked with a vocal coach over the last 2 years, got my exercises. So I'm right now in the process of rebuilding my voice, and hopefully I was hoping to have one new song recorded this year, but I'm just like, I don't want to screw it up. So
it would be better to make sure you're where you need to be.
Yeah. So next year I hope I will have at least one new song out, and then I'm sure I'll play a couple of shows to make sure I can play that live. So I'll have everything posted at my website. I've gotten less the older I get, the less I'm interested in being everywhere all the time online. It's just like, come to my website. It will all be there.
Yeah, everything you need.
You do a little work here. Like you have to like look me up.
Yeah,
You won't just come across me.
Right. Right.
So
what we're going to do is definitely make that available,
Okay.
here on YouTube, so people can find you
Yeah.
and be updated on what you're doing, so they can come and check you out.
Yeah.
If they're in the Pittsburgh area, or if they're traveling, or whatever the case may be, so they can come and hear soft soul.
Soft soul, yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, the place where I'm most active is Instagram.
Okay.
And then I try to, post journal entries to my website from time to time.
Okay. Okay.
Because Instagram is more smaller things, like if I want to actually write,
Okay.
I'll put it on the website.
Okay, well, I'll definitely put that information in the description box. Well, I just want to thank you so much. Thank you
very much.
Thank you
for listening.
for sharing the gift that you have been given with us. And like I said, we're going to put the information here on the line so that you can check out Heather Kropf at www.heatherkropf.com and check her music out. You enjoy that soft soul. And when everything is coming together the way that it needs to be, we can check her out live. Playing wherever you may play, coming soon. And in the meantime, we can hear the recorded, get the recorded songs on your website as well.
Yeah, there's links to everything there. But all the streaming services have stuff. You can buy things at Bandcamp. I don't have a store on my site at the moment. So.
I'm thinking of Bandcamp. I'm thinking of that movie, American Pie. Every time I hear Bandcamp, I think about the American Pie. Well, thank you so much for checking in to the Lady Empress Show. It was a pleasure to do this, and we will be back, and we will be in touch with you. Just check out Heather Kropf, listen to her music. You're going to enjoy that soft soul, and we look forward to coming live to you again in the near future. Thank you for joining us, and have a blessed rest of your wonderful day. Bye. Thank you so much for coming.